السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ونصلي ونسلم ونبارك ونسأل الله أن ينعم على نبينا ورسولنا وحبيبنا محمد أبي القاسم صلى الله عليه وسلم. أحبتي الكرام، طبتم وطاب ممشاكم وتبوأتم من الجنة منزلا. For the brothers in the back, I want you to come closer. I want to see your beautiful faces. I can't see very well, so I want to see you up close. Barakallahu feekum. Come close, come close. Allah yazzikum khair, inshallah. You're still scared of me? You're still keeping a distance? Barakallahu feekum. We are still continuing with the seerah of the Nubala, the seerah of the Salaf, our pious predecessors, those who paved the way for us as Muslims to succeed them, to take this message of Al-Islam and to carry the banner of La ilaha illallah. And we have, mashallah, we have gone through many of the tabi'een, those who lived with the Sahaba, Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een, those who walked in the footsteps and in the shadows of the Sahaba, radiyallahu anhum ajma'een. And tonight, inshallah, we have an exception. This man is alam. He is a beacon. He is a noteworthy mention for the ages, rahmatullahi alayhi. A man that has influenced generations, and till this day influences generations. A man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the ability of comprehension, of fiqh, of understanding, the ability of explaining with words and wisdom from the kitab and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I chose specifically to mention this man because in the khutbah on Jum'ah, I mentioned something that might be misunderstood. And some of the brothers perhaps might take it the wrong way. But I'm here to expand on a point in order to shed light and to clarify the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in regards to this man, rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah. وهو من هو عالم جليل الفقيه المعلم أبي حنيفة النعمان. Abu Hanifa or Abi Hanifa, you've all heard of Abi Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah, alim jaleel, from the greatest scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The greatest scholars, when you mention the scholars, the top, he is amongst them, rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah. He was a mawla min mawla Bani Tamim. Like the other seer of the Salaf that we mentioned from the Nubala, like Sa'id ibn Jubayr, and like them, they were mawali, they were slaves. And he, rahmatullahi alayhi, did not come from a noble lineage. He was also a slave, rahmatullahi alayhi. وَسُمِّيَ Abi Hanifa in relation to the Hanifa. The writing tool or the utensils that were used back then were called Hanifa. So he was labeled the father of the writing tools, because wherever he was, if you saw him at dawn, if you saw him at dusk, if you saw him here, if you saw him there, he was writing. He was a man of ilm, a man of learning, a man of teaching, and a man of practice, rahmatullahi alayhi. And as you all know, he is an imam of a madhab, fiqhi, who his entire life he focused on talab al-ilm, acquiring knowledge, teaching others, and explaining to them the fiqh, the comprehension of this deen, the deen of Islam. So he was not a muhaddith, ولكن كان فقيها. And it is noteworthy to mention that he, rahmatullahi alayhi, rahmatan wasi'ah, he used the methodology of qiyas. Qiyas is from where we derive, it's one of the means to where we derive our ahkam al-shar'iyyah. There's al-kitab wa sunnah, الإجماع والقياس. الكتاب والسنة, the Quran and the Sunnah, الإجماع, the collective agreement amongst the ulama, and al-qiyas. Does anybody know what al-qiyas is? Anyone? Qiyas, in layman's, it means to draw a comparison from similarities. قياس تقيس ما بين هذا وبين ذاك ويكون بالحق والميزان, and it has two requirements. It has to be with justification, with absolute fact, and it has to fit. I'll give you an example. Umar radiallahu anhu warda came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam on a day of Ramadan, and he was fasting obviously. فقال يا رسول الله, I kissed my wife and I'm fasting. He's insinuating that, did I break my fast? Did I not break my fast? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he looked at him and he says, what happens when you make madmada for wudu? When you take in water and you wash your mouth and you spit it out, do you break your fast then, in a sense? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is using this qiyas, this similarity between kissing his wife and madmada, meaning it's jaiz. Okay, it's jaiz. Another one, a better one. A man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he says, Ya Rasulullah, and this is very peculiar. He asked him a question that sort of alluded to something very wrong. But look at the hikmah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Qasim, muallim as-sahaba. He said to him, he says, Ya Rasulullah, my wife gave birth. MashaAllah, my wife gave birth. Mabruk. However, the child that she bore is dark. He's dark in complexion. He's insinuating something. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't even ask him anything about nothing. He drew a qiyas immediately, because this man came from the Badiya, from the nomads that shepherd and they herd camels. So he said to him, he says, Alaka ibn, do you have camels? And he said, yes. He says, Wama lawnuha, what are the colors of the camels that you have? He said, some are tan, some are dark brown. He says, some of them come out darker than the others? He says, yeah. And he says, what kayfa that? He says, and how could that be? That we have a tan camel and a little bit brown camel, and then you get almost a black camel. How? He says, يعني ممكن من عرق. Maybe it's from their ancestry, from the genealogy, from the past. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, and perhaps your son is such. So he drew a qiyas for the man to answer him in the most polite, the most understandable manner. Subhanallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He gives many methodology, many examples of qiyas. وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلٍ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and give them the example or the similarity of this to that, this is called qiyas in a nutshell. However, there's a rule here. كُلُّ قِيَاسٍ يُصَادِمُ النَّصْ فَبَاطِلٍ. Every form of qiyas, similarity or drawing comparison, that goes against the shara, goes against the kitab and the sunnah, is rejected. It's rejected. I'll give you an example. And this is a very famous example, and this is a mas'ala that I've studied and I continue to study with my mashayikh. Can a woman marry herself off? Can a woman marry herself without a wali? If I told you Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, and this is in the Sahih, he says, La nikaha illa biwali. Very simple. There is no marriage contract in Islam except with a wali present for the woman. وفي حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها وارضاها, she says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, any woman that has married herself off without a wali, then that marriage is batil. So we have clear-cut evidence, undisputed, you can't argue, sah? We have within the Hanafi madhab a ruling which pertains to this exact matter, where they say it is jaiz. Now, this mas'ala, and we have to understand from the adab of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we're not going to shame anyone. We're not going to say that they're going to hell, wal iyad billah. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe that the madahib al-arba'a are from us, and we are from them, and we learn from them. If the mas'ala, or the fatwa, or the fiqh that they have done ijtihad upon, and this is their consensus, and they've made an error, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them. Even though it is an error, clear, we cannot shame them. We do not slander them. This is the adab of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And if you have any issue with these masail, you need to understand that the madahib al-arba'a, وخاصة Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, may Allah have mercy on him, was one of those who revived the deen, who have facilitated for the ummah the practice of this deen. بِاجْتِهَادِهِ وَعِلْمِهِ وَفِقْهِهِ. This is a man who devoted his entire life to help and to facilitate the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of these masail, and I can go on, came well after Abu Hanifa's demise, rahmatullahi alayhi, from his students. So the fiqh al-Hanafi, fiqh al-Hanafiyya, is not specific to Abu Hanifa, rahmatullahi alayhi. And if we take the understanding that Abu Hanifa, rahmatullahi alayhi, was a man of knowledge, absolute, he was one of the highest, most esteemed scholars, we cannot say that he was infallible. Man al-Ma'soom, who is the infallible in terms of men? Who? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa kullu, we take and we reject from everyone except for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. لأن طاعة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مربوطة بطاعة الله. وأطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he is the only infallible. And we can say that because Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi did not actually لم يروي عن أي صحابي, he did not extract any narration from any sahabi. And there is even a difference of opinion whether he was a tabi'i or a tabi'i. Did he witness the sahaba? Some of the ulama rahmatullahi alayhim, they said no, he did not witness any sahabi. Some of them said he witnessed Anas ibn Malik, walakin he never took any hadith from Anas ibn Malik. So with that having said, it is a possibility that some of the knowledge, some of the riwayat did not reach Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. This is not far-fetched. They didn't have an encyclopedia back then. Ilm was widespread, but you had to travel distances, and you had to sift, and you have to go, and it's arduous. The ilm that Abu Hanifa acquired, rahmatullahi alayhi, is a bahar, is an ocean. Like there's many oceans. And we, today, we can't, I specifically cannot compare myself to even his dust, rahmatullahi alayhi, rahmatul wasi'ah. However, having said that, don't think that this, the masail, every mas'ala, he had all the information for. No. And no, he was not infallible, rahmatullahi alayhi, rahmatan wasi'ah. Another mas'ala which intrigued me is if a man, his husband, if a man, his wife passes away, the husband, and his wife passes away, rahmatullahi alayha, نسأل الله يطول في أعمار أزواجهم, can he wash or prepare her body for burial? In the other madhahib, it is jaiz. However, in the Hanafi madhab, again I say the Hanafi madhab, I'm not saying Abu Hanifa said, it's very important, because some of these masail are very tricky and you have to do a lot of research to see who said من من الفقه الحنفي لأتى بهذا العلم. So they say in their fiqh that no, it is not jaiz. It is not jaiz for the husband to wash his wife for burial. فأعطونا الدليل. They used قياس رحمة الله عليهم. Again, may Allah have mercy on them. This is from their ijtihad. Their qiyas was this, and subhanAllah, if you think about it, it does make sense. They said, because the relationship has been broken after the demise of the wife, she's dead, they cannot have any relation. Huh? The husband's alive, the wife is dead, there's no relation between them. Because of this, she is foreign to him. So he cannot see her in that position. She's no longer his wife, thus he cannot see her. However, no, we have a dalil qati'. When Aisha radiallahu anha wa ardaha, she told Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, near the end of his life, she said, wa ra'sah ya Rasulullah. She was complaining of a headache. And he said to her, he says, don't worry, my dear. If you die before me, I will wash you, I will shroud you, and I will bury you with my hands. هذا قول من؟ قول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is a dalil قاطع. الحديث عن عائشة رضي الله عنها وارضاها. So we have here that qiyas, you saw them, and nas. Same thing, if you look at the mas'ala of marrying, if can the woman marry herself, they use the qiyas there as well. And they said because the woman is a hurra, she's a free woman, she's an adult woman, she doesn't have to ask her wali how to spend her wealth. She doesn't have to ask him. So why would she have to ask him to get married? Why would she need his permission? A qiyas, again, this is their ijtihad, rahmatullahi alayhim. But we have the dalil qati', قول Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he said, لا نكاح إلا بولي. So perhaps this ilm didn't reach them. ولكن, let's say أخطأوا, they made mistakes like we all make mistakes. Allah will reward them because these are ulama. We're not talking about عامة الناس like myself. Rahmatullahi alayhim, rahmatan wasi'ah. Again, I wanted to draw this so everybody is clear that Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi is a alim jaleel. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him the highest reward, al-firdaus al-a'la, bijtihadihi wa ilmihi. He was born 80 years after the hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he was born in Al-Kufa, Iraq. Walazam Al-Kufa. And he was born during the ahd of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan from the Umayyad Khilafah, as you know. And again, I mentioned this, that some of the ulama, they said he might have witnessed Anas ibn Malik. Just might. There is a shak. We don't know. Okay? That's why we say he's a tabi', Allahu a'lam. ولكن لم يروي عن أي صحابي. He never took any riwayah from any sahabi, rahmatullahi alayhi. I wanted to ask you guys this. What would you do? And you guys think this is not a big deal. This is a huge deal. What would you do if you knew that there's a sahabi alive today right now? What would you do? What would you do? Would you want to see him? What else? You just want to see him?
I want to ask him about the deen.
You want to ask him? What else?
About the Nabi.
About Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What else? What would you do, Ali? If you knew Anas ibn Malik was alive?
Spend as much time as you can.
That's it?
And
Take from the ilm, yes. What else? These men, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ardahum, they walked in the shadow of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They ate with him, they sat with him, they journeyed with him, they laughed with him, they cried with him. I don't, they are so blessed, that if one of them were to be alive, he would be overwhelmed by the masses towards him. And there's a point here why I wanted to mention this. The Sahaba are blessed. Sah? And I'll give you one more. Every Muslim is blessed. Every Muslim. There's a hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions that every Muslim is blessed. The blessings that they have, if one of them was alive today, some people would go to the extreme to wipe themselves on the Sahaba, صح? To almost worship them, not worship them, but almost. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, صح? Why? Why do you think that is? And I already gave you the answer. Because they are blessed. Barakah. عندهم barakah. Now in Islam there's two types of barakah. There's two types of barakah in Islam. Before going into that, where does the barakah come from? وين أصل البركة؟ من أين أتت؟ Allah. فالله هو المبارك والعبد هو المبارك. Allah is the one that bestows the barakah, and we are those who are fortunate to obtain it. So if somebody comes to your house or to your masjid, a great sheikh, a alim, a distant family member that you love, do you say that baraktana? Would you say you have blessed us? And this is a common phrase in Arabic and in English. Has he blessed you? Can we say if a sheikh touches you, bi barakatik? Can we say that? We said al-asl, where does it come from, al-barakah? Allah. So these words, these phrases, although you might just say them, they have a very dangerous meaning. Because again, Allahu huwa al-mubarik wal-abdu huwa al-mubarak. Okay? Another thing is that barakah is something which is, can you see it? Can you touch it? So it's ghaib. And what did we say about ahkam al-ghaib? The rulings of the unseen? Tawqifiyya. We have to stop where the nas stops. We can't add or minus or imagine or... What we know is what we know from the kitab and the sunnah, sah? So if I told you that this little table is blessed, what would you tell me? What would you tell me?
How do you know?
How do I know? Prove it. If I told you that tomorrow is going to be a blessed day, what would you tell me? Give me your daleel. Sah? What if I told you that Masjid al-Aqsa is Mubarak? What would you say? Yes. Surah Al-Isra. الذي باركنا حوله. If I told you Mecca is Mubarakah, what would you say? And you just recited the ayah.
It's in the name.
Exactly. It's Mubarakah. So, you can't place barakah fi makan or zaman. You can't place barakah in something or a time for nothing. There has to be proof from the kitab and the sunnah. Back to my point, there's two types of barakah. There is al-barakah al-dhatiyya al-muntaqila wal-barakah al-ma'nawiyya al-lazim. The first type of barakah, I'm going to give you a very good hint. And by the way, I'm going to ask questions after, because I have some prizes here for you guys. Al-barakah al-dhatiyya al-muntaqila, the first type, is the barakah that is transferable. It transfers from one thing to another, from one person to other people. It is such an amazing barakah that it transferred to the Sahaba. Who does this barakah belong to? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For he is the only ever existed, created barakah muntaqila. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make wudu, the Sahaba would take the water. They would beg him for his clothes. They would beg to eat with him in the same plate. What if I even told you that كانوا يتبركون ببزاقه? Even his spit is barakah. Everything about him, his hair, his sweat, his blood, everything about him is blessed. This is only for who? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ولذلك the Sahaba, they used to rush. If there's anything of Rasulullah's they would take it, they would cherish it, because they want that barakah to transfer to them. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Sahabi Jaleel, Mubashir bil Jannah. Is he blessed? Of course he's blessed. It's Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. But no one did that to Abu Bakr. They didn't ask him for his clothes or wipe themselves with his sweat. No. Because his barakah is ma'nawiyya lazima. The Kaaba, and I see this, subhanAllah, if you ever go to Hajj or Umrah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate for all of you, say Ameen.
Amen.
You will see some people, Nas'alullah an yahdihim, they are wiping the Kaaba. Wiping. One guy, I remember he had a bag of sajjadas, you know, the prayer mats. A bag, he bought like 20 or 30. And one by one, he's wiping, puts it away. Another one, wiping. I said, Sheikh, what are you doing? Lil barakah. So when he gives the sajjada to someone, he tells him this is blessed. Yani when you pray, حَتَوْصَلْ لِلْأُفُقِ. صح? When you see someone in the black stone, if you ever get to the black stone, get ready to fight. And he's wiping and kissing and licking and hugging, and he's like fully in there. He's in a trance. That's just a rock. It's just a hajar. فعلا, it's mubarak, it's blessed. The whole place is blessed. But لا تنتقي. It doesn't transfer. Ma'u Zamzam. You see, if that was Ma Zamzam, everybody would be like, can I get a sip? And then somebody would wash themselves with it, and then, you know, wash their car with it so it doesn't get the evil eye. Huh? No. Zamzam has a barakah, of course. But it doesn't transfer. فيه شفاء وطعام طعم. شفاء السقم وطعام طعم. But if you put it in your radiator for your car, it doesn't make your car run better. If you wash your clothes with it, doesn't mean you're blessed and you're bulletproof. This is where we go to the masail of the bid'ah, and it goes to shirk. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Al-Quran al-Kareem. Quran, Kalamullah. مبارك طبعا. فيه شفاء للمؤمنين وهدى ونور. If I put this beside my bed, am I protected from the jinn? If I wipe it and kiss it and hug it and put it on top of my head, لا ما تنتقل. The Quran is يطبق. You're supposed to practice it, live it. The only barakah that was muntaqila, that transferred over, was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now that he has died, rahmatullahi alayhi, we only have his sunnah. And that still lives on today. So if you want from the barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to uphold his sunnah. And it's an interesting mas'ala, because I was thinking to myself, if Anas ibn Malik was alive today, he would be worshipped. People would worship the ground he walked on. They would take the sand that fell from his feet. They think that it's blessed and they're going to Jannah. I don't understand. I mean, we see this with a lot of different cultures in different countries. When their awliya pass, in my country particularly, this is a huge. From the awliya, people who are pious, rahmatullahi alayhim, they passed away hundreds of years ago. Mujahideen, huffaz, ulama, people worship their graves. They go to the graves because they say, Hada insan mubarak, wa hada qabr mubarak. And they say, if you make dua here, it's more blessed. If you give sadaqah here, it's more blessed. طيب أين الدليل? Where's your proof? There's no proof. We said that the barakah is shay ghaybi. It's something which is from the unseen matters. So the unseen matters, tawqifiyya. You can't bring about anything and everything. La. Has to have clear-cut evidences. So, rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah, he didn't witness Anas ibn Malik. In some opinions, they said yes, he did witness, but he didn't take any riwayah from him. However, he took riwayat of hadith from the tabi'een, such as Imam Zuhri, Imam Sha'bi, rahmatullahi alayhim, Ikrima, Qatada, Ata. Many of the tabi'een that took from the Sahaba, Abu Hanifa, Ibn Nu'man, rahmatullah alayhi, he took from them. And he was an astute student. He was one of the top students. Yani at a young age, he shined as a beacon. He was no ordinary student, no ordinary man. Fatin, very brilliant, very resilient. And from his famous students, Abu Yusuf, Hassan al-Shaybani, many students, rahmatullahi alayhi. And as I mentioned, he was the first Imam to have an accepted, adopted, acknowledged madhab. There's many madhahab, by the way, many schools of thought. However, Allah Azza wa Jal, bihikmatihi, He chose Abu Hanifa's fiqh to last all these years. There's a hikmah in this. There's a hikmah in this. Don't think that this is out of nothing. There's clear-cut evidence to say, Tabarak ar-Rahman, wa la nuzakkihi ala Allah. This man was sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his da'wah. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fatah bihi al-qulub. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed him from his da'wah and his fiqh to open the hearts and the minds of many Muslims. A third of today's world, the Islamic world, pertains to the fiqh al-Hanafi. This is shay azim. And subhanallah. And it is praiseworthy to mention that one of his famous students was Imam Malik, rahmatullahi alayhi. Imam Malik, who was Imamu madhabihi. He was another Imam with a madhab and a huge following, rahmatullahi alayhi, faqih, muhaddith. Now we get to the question. Currently we have, mashallah, many different groups in our community. And from those groups we have the Ahnaf, the Hanafis. From the Ahnaf we have two groups. We have the extreme, those who will say, I don't want to hear anything or anyone tell me what Abu Hanifa said, rahmatullahi alayhi. And I remember one time my Shaykh Abu Rahman, hafidhahullah, he was giving a lecture and he was talking about different ahkam, different rulings pertaining to food and fiqh of food. I remember that was the topic. And he went into a lot of details and evidences and ahkam. Immediately after, one man, he came to him, he says, Shaykh, you said this and this and that. Tell me what Abu Hanifa said. And Shaykh Abu Rahman, he looks at him and he said, what do you mean, akhi? He says, what is Abu Hanifa's opinion on this mas'ala? He's like, he told him, he says, akhi, I give you the hadith of Rasulullah. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, I want the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa. La shak, this is an extreme. This is an extreme. And then we have the other side, which is the middle. You take, you absorb, you practice, you research. Again, none of us here are ulama. I am the lowest amongst you. I'm a student of knowledge. However, ask, research, delve into the masail. Your deen is beautiful. It is an ocean deep. You can't just say, this is it. This is what my sheikh said. I'm going with this. What if something was missed by your sheikh? What if something was missed by your father? Our forefathers, rahmatullahi alayhim, may Allah have mercy on them, they did not pray properly. Specifically, I'm speaking about myself. They did not know how to pray. وَلَا تَكْلِيفٍ إِلَّا بَعْدَ عِلْمٍ وَإِنْذَارٍ. There is no burden upon them until they receive the actual knowledge or they receive warning. But for us today, we have no excuse. MashaAllah, we have every avenue in front of us. You have a nice phone there. Can you show us what you're looking at? He's looking at masajid, MashaAllah. He's researching. So, if you want to research your deen, you need to take the time to understand. And again, you might come across differences of opinion. Be respectful. Be respectful. Be lenient. I remember one time we had a huge conference at SFU right here in Surrey. And it was a large gathering. And the campus, did not allow us to pray in the hall because there's chairs and it's a fire hazard. And there was about, I'm guessing, 200 people. Okay, male and female. So we had to pray Dhuhr. We're not gonna miss the Jama'ah, we're Muslims. So we said, you know what, we're gonna bend the rules, we're gonna pray in the hallway, outside. So I walked out and I was the MC for that event. I said, everyone keep your shoes on. We're gonna pray quickly and head right back in. One of our brothers, Hadahullah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him and give him the highest of Jannah and give him maghfirah. He said, no, you have to take off your shoes to pray. You can't pray with your shoes. And I said, Akhi, I said, no, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed with his shoes, and he actually encouraged the Sahaba to pray with their shoes, and he said, Khaliful Yahud, be different from the Jews, because the Jews don't pray with their shoes. And this is a moment where we have to keep our shoes on because we're already breaking the rules. We're going to cause chaos if everybody takes their shoes off. We have to pray and get back in. And there was a huge rift. Some people took their shoes off, others didn't. What's happening? See what I'm saying? Ghulu, extremity. I didn't want to argue at that time. Although I did want to argue, but I fought myself. I said, no, I can't do this. When you have people who have such an extreme and they're sort of, they got the blinders on, they only see the one way, this is a problem. This is a problem. So, Rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatan wasi'a, al-Fudayl ibn Iyad thana alayhi thana'an azim. And he said, listen to this. I just want you to understand, if you're a Hanafi, I want you to practice this. Because Imam Abu Hanifa qudwa, he is a role model for every Muslim. Rahmatullahi alayhi. Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, he said, Abu Hanifa would pray the entire night. The entire night, Abu Hanifa would pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi tahajjud. He would not sleep after Isha. Never. His entire life. His wife, she said, Mundu an ariftahu, since the time I got to know him, he never pulled his sheets over him at night. Never did he sleep at night. He only slept in the summer between Dhuhr and Asr, and in winter between Maghrib and Isha for a few hours. His entire life. His students, they said, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa never had to make wudu from Isha to Fajr. He would pray with the same wudu that he made for Isha, he would pray Fajr. This means that he never slept a wink at night. So if you want to tell me you want to be a devoted Hanafi, which I encourage. And by the way, there's only 4 or 5 notable mentions that were able to do this, to not sleep at night. They would pray the entire night. Uthman bin Affan was one of them, by the way. Uthman bin Affan, radiallahu anhu ardah, Sahabi Jaleel, Mubashir, the Nurayn, he never slept at night. Wa Abu Hanifa, a tabi'i, has that same category next to Uthman bin Affan. Never slept at night. And Nazidakum, he was mentioned that he khatam al-Qur'an kulluhu fi layla. He completed the entire Qur'an in one evening. Fi salat. This is Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. So if you're asking or wondering, how come he's so popular and people have adopted his understanding? العلم عند الله ولكن الجزاء من جنس العمل. رحمة الله عليه رحمة واسعة. Imam Malik, when he was asked about Abu Hanifa, you know what he said? He said, Imam Abu Hanifa was very convincing with his words, very wise with his words. He had a persuasive speech. if he told you that this pillar was made out of gold, you would believe him. And he pointed at a pillar that was made out of mud, by the way. He said, if he said that this pillar was made out of gold, you would believe him. Because كان قوله قول الحق وكلامه كلام الحق ونطقه نطق الحق. He used to speak the truth, live the truth, walk the truth. He was a man of truth, a man of haqq. Rahmatullahi alayhi, rahmatan wasi'ah. Sufyan al-Thawri, rahmatullahi alayhi, he said, أفقه أهل الأرض في زمانه. He was the most knowledgeable, the most understanding in fiqh in his time. Imam al-Dhahabi, these are ulama, kibar, from the juggernauts of ilm. وثنى يعني ثنوا عليه, they praised him in high praise. Rahmatullahi alayhim ajma'in. I'll fast forward so you guys don't get bored. And after you can share what you're looking at on your phone there again. Rahmatullahi alayh, he lived until the age of 70. Yani Umar Tawil Mubarak. And subhanAllah, just to mention this, if you think it's far-fetched that you can pray the entire night and complete the entire Quran, I agree with you in this day and age. Because for us now, if you haven't noticed, time isn't really time. Food isn't really food. Nothing is the same. Our forefathers, even our fathers, they had a more blessed time. Sah? Everything they did was well-mannered. They had ample time and space. For us, everything is rush. Before you know it, it's Friday. Sah? Before you know it, it's the next week. Before you know it, it's Ramadan. Huh? تقارب الزمان. Near the end of times, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about this. That time will come closer. Time is exactly time, by the way. It hasn't changed. But nuzi'at al-baraka. The blessings from the time, from the food, from the people, from life in general has been being extracted bits and pieces at a time. Their time, rahmatullahi alayhim, was blessed. And they were definitely more blessed than we. Huh? By the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who bestows the blessing, as I mentioned. So He blessed their time and He blessed their efforts, rahmatullahi alayhim. Again, this doesn't mean it's not an excuse for you to say, I don't have to pray the night prayer or I'm not going to complete the Quran. No, I'm just saying, if you think that that's difficult to do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitated it and made it easy for them because they were blessed and their time was blessed, their intentions were blessed. As for us today, we're scrolling on Instagram and YouTube for hours and it feels like minutes because we're wasting our time. So why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your time when you're wasting your life? Why? Why would He bless your time when you're just scrolling, huh? Looking at cats and I don't know what, and people slapping each other. Have you seen those videos? I'm disgusted and appalled. And they have so many views. They have these videos where the guy slaps the other guy. It's a competition. It's competition. And people watch and they're like, whoa. That's haram. That's haram. You're not even allowed to hit anyone in the face for money. Did you know that? It's haram. So don't think that it's unfathomable that Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi prayed the entire night his whole life and he finished the Quran. No, these people were blessed rahmatullahi alayhim. At the age of 70 rahmatullahi alayhi, he passed away, and he passed away incarcerated. He was a prisoner. And no, he was not a criminal. Abi Ja'far al-Mansur, the Khalifa al-Abbasi, he called upon Abu Hanifa and he said, I want to appoint you to be a judge. I'm not going to get into Abi Ja'far al-Mansur. However, Abu Hanifa refused. Abu Hanifa refused. This is the Khalif, by the way, the leader of the believers at the time. He refused the service. He didn't want to work for him. Get the hint, he's not the greatest Khalif. And he said to him, وَمَا عُذْرُكَ? He says, why? He said, Abu Hanifa responded, he says, لَا أَصْلُحْ. I'm not fit for the position to be a judge. وَمَعَ عِلْمِهِ وَمَكَانِهِ, with his knowledge and his experience and his personality, his following, of course he's fit, but he said, I'm not fit. He declined to be a judge. High paying job at the time, huh? High paying job. You'll be one of the most respected nobles. Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi didn't want, the clout and the money, and no. He wanted to serve Allah. So he denied, he declined. He says, no, لا أصلح. I am not fit for this job. فقال أبي جعفر قال كذبت. You're a liar. You are absolutely fit for the job. We know your credentials. Everybody knows who you are. You're alim al-ummah. You're faqih al-ummah. You're a liar. So from his intelligence, he looked at the Khalifa and he embarrassed him. He said, so you're calling me a liar, but you want me to be your judge. How does that fit? Abi Ja'far, he got mad because he embarrassed him. Because I'm trying to appoint you as a judge. You're a liar, but I want you to be a judge. So he sort of brought out the true colors of Abi Ja'far and Mansur. So everybody, obviously, they're like, this guy wants a liar because he wants to abuse him and use that, against the mu'mineen. So because of that, he was lashed 110 times, rahmatullahi alayh, and he was placed in prison. And he died in prison, rahmatullahi alayhi, rahmatan wasi'ah. But even till his last moments, he was teaching his students. He was teaching the Muslims. He was giving them solutions to their problems, solutions to the understanding of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كَانَ فَقِيهًا عَالِمًا مُجْتَهِدًا. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him the highest reward, al-Firdaus al-A'la, and all of our ulama. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon them all. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A few questions before you guys go. I have a few questions. And here's my little prizes. They're nothing special, but I'm going to ask, whoever wants to answer, just put your hand up. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. This is an easy one, so can we let the kids answer? What was the name of the alim that we just discussed? Yes.
The father of writing?
No, Abu, what's his name?
Abu
Hanif. Hanifa. Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man. Another question. What was his focus? Was it hadith, was it Quran, or was it fiqh? Yes.
Quran.
Yes. Yes. Ahsan. What was, this is a question for the guys in the back there that are chatting and laughing. What was the method that the Ahnaf used predominantly for rulings? Qiyas. Can you describe qiyas for us? Hold on. I'll get to you. Can you describe qiyas? What is qiyas?
It's basically like using similarities.
Similarities. Very good. Comparison. Very good. So you can come get your prize. When was he born, rahmatullahi alayhi? How many years after Hijrah? 80, mashallah, you got it, come here. How many Sahaba did he witness? It's a keychain. One, yes. What was his name?
Anas ibn Malik.
Very good, mashallah. I'll just throw it to you. My friend made these keychains, by the way. This is the map of Philistine. Okay, this is the map of Philistine. A few more questions. Was Imam Abu Hanifa infallible? Meaning, did he make mistakes?
Yes.
Yes, he made mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes. Does Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam make mistakes?
Yes.
No. No. Fadl, come. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was prevented from making mistakes. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيْهِ. He was a human, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevented him from making mistakes. Rahmatullahi alayhi. Name me one student of Imam Abu Hanifa. You already answered. Come on, guys. Imam Malik. Barakallahu feek. You guys shouldn't be answering. Okay. How old was he, rahmatullahi alayhi, when he died? 7, mashallah. Barakallah. Yalla, barakallahu feekum. If anybody wants a keychain, come get it. All you have to do is say Assalamu alaikum. And please respect your ulama, respect your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, respect this masjid, respect every Muslim, respect every creature, every person, because you are a Muslim. Barakallahu feekum. Come up if you guys